Vegetative propagation. In plants, the units of vegetative propagation such as runner, rhizome, sucker, tuber, offset, and bulb are giving rise to new offspring. These structures are called vegetative propagules. Formation of these structures does not involve two parents. The process involved is asexual. Are you aware how plants like potato, sugarcane, banana, ginger, and dahlia are cultivated? Determine the site of origin of the new plantlets in the plant shown. You will notice that they invariably arise from the nodes present in the modified stems of these plants. Onion is stem modification. Adventitious roots are grown from discoid in the soil. Adventitious buds arise from the notches present at margins of leaves of Bryophyllum. This ability is fully exploited by gardeners and farmers for commercial propagation of such plants. Terror of Bengal aquatic plant water, hyacinth, drains oxygen from the water, which leads to death of fishes. Introduced in India for its beautiful flowers and shape of leaves, propagate at phenomenal rates spread all over water body within a short period of time. It is very difficult to get rid of them. Now let us see few examples of vegetative propagules in angiosperms. A. Eyes of potato. B. Rhizome of ginger. C. Bulbils of agave. D. Leaf buds of Bryophyllum. E. Offset of water hyacinth. Rhizome. Modified stem grows horizontally. Distinct nodes and internodes are present with marked apical and axillary buds. Adventitious roots present at the ventral side. Example: ginger, gingiber, turmeric, and curcuma. Tuber. In Solanum tuberosum, half-moon-like structures called eyes of potato. These eyes indicate the position of nodes and internodes. Scale leaves and axillary buds are present. Apical bud is also present. Tubers have no roots. Example: Solanum tuberosum, potato. Heliander tuberosus. Onion. Underground stem modification. Adventitious roots grow towards the soil. Fleshy, scaly leaves, which are eaten, grow above soil, aerial. Auxiliary buds produce new plant. Apical bud shows inflorescence. Tunicate bulbs are seen in Allium cepa, onion. The imbricate bulbs are seen in Allium sativum, garlic. Corm. Underground stem modification grows vertically in the soil. Nodes and internodes present. Scale leaves are rising at node. Apical and axillary buds are present. Auxiliary roots produce daughter roots. Corm shows contractile roots, which are helpful to put the corm in distinct depth. Example: Amorphophallus, Colocasia, etc.
This topic is modifications of leaves of the chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants. Leaves get modified to perform various functions besides photosynthesis. First, leaf tendril. Now in this, the leaf gets modified into a thin, spirally coiled structure that coils around a support, helping the plant to climb. So tendrils are thin, spirally coiled structures. Either the complete leaf is modified into a tendril, as seen in case of this figure, example of which is wild pea. Or the leaflets get modified into tendrils or the spirally coiled structures, seen in case of sweet pea and garden pea. Sweet pea is Lathyrus odoratus, while garden pea is Pisum sativum. Leaf tendrils are characteristics of family Fabaceae. Next, leaf spines. Now in this, the complete leaf or any part of the leaf get modified into thin pointed structures. In case of Opuntia, that is cactus, the complete leaf gets modified into spine, as seen in this figure. These are the leaves that get modified into spines. They reduce transpiration and they even protect the plant from grazing animals. While in this case we can see this is argemone, that is prickly poppy, in which the leaf margin gets modified into spines. Now these are the leaf margins that get modified into the spine, protecting the plant from grazing animals. Next, leaf pitcher. The complete leaf or a part of leaf gets modified into a pitcher-like structure. Like in case of Nepenthes, that is pitcher plant. It is an insectivorous plant in which the lamina gets modified into a pitcher-like structure that traps insects. While in case of Dischidia, which is a epiphyte, means it is a plant that growing on branches of trees, the leaf get modified into a pitcher to store water. Next is leaf bladder, seen in case of Utricularia, commonly known as bladderwort. This too is an insectivorous plant. In this, the leaflets get modified into a bladder-like structure that helps to trap insects. You can see this in the diagram. Next is phyllodes. In phyllodes, it is the petiole that gets expanded, forming a lamina-like structure that carries out photosynthesis. Now see, this is seen in some species of Australian acacia. They have normal pinnately compound leaves. Petiole of some leaves and the rachis, they get expanded, forming a lamina-like structure called phyllodes, which carries out photosynthesis. So example of phyllodes is Australian acacia. Next, leaf hook. In some plants, the leaflets of a compound leaf, they get modified into a hook-like structure that helps the plant to climb by clinging to support. The leaflets get modified into a hook-like structure which helps the plant to climb. It just appears like a cat's nail, So the best example of this is cat's nail, that is Bignonia ungiscati. And last, fleshy leaves. In some xerophytic plants, the leaves become thick, fleshy. Storing water, mucilage, and even food. Example of which is, this is aloe, this is agave, and even in onion, in the onion bulb, fleshy leaves are seen. So in family Fabaceae, leaf tendrils are seen, while in family Liliaceae, spines can be seen as in asparagus, tendrils can be seen, example gloriosa, fleshy leaves can be seen in case of aloe, onion and garlic. Modification of stem. Now stem gets modified to perform special functions. There are three types of stem modifications. One is underground modification of stem, 2 subaerial modification of stem, and 3 aerial modification of stem. Underground modification of stem occurs for perennation. Perennation, that is meant to survive unfavorable conditions. Under unfavorable conditions, the aerial part of the plant dies while the underground part survives. It has food in it. When favorable conditions come in, these underground parts grow to form new shoots. Underground modification also occurs for storage of food, for unfavorable conditions, and vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is multiplication of vegetative parts of the plant. Subaerial modification takes place for vegetative propagation, that is spreading the plant. And for perennation. While aerial modification takes place to perform functions like climbing, protection, synthesis of food, and even vegetative propagation. Underground modification of stem. We'll start with it. Now, underground part of the plant is referred as stem or recognized as stem as it has nodes and internodes as seen in the stem. Developing on them are the scale leaves, that is the thin membranous brownish leaves. Adventitious roots develop from the nodes, and also present are the buds. Now, it is due to these reasons that the underground modification is referred as a stem. Underground modification of stem, the first type is the rhizome. They grow horizontally under the surface of the soil. They have nodes. These are the nodes and internodes. Possess axillary bud and terminal bud that can grow into shoots. They have adventitious roots developing at the nodes. Rhizome is seen in case of ginger and turmeric. Now the rhizome grows horizontally in these two cases, while it grows vertically, that is erect, in case of banana and alocasia. Next, the bulb. Now, the bulb consists of a reduced stem. Developing upon the stem are the fleshy scale leaves. Now, these fleshy scale leaves are concentrically arranged, that is, one above the other. Developing from the lower part of the stem are the adventitious roots, and the whole concentric fleshy leaves are then covered by a dry membranous scale leaf. Such type of bulbs are known as tunicated bulbs, seen in case of onion. While in case of garlic and lily, the scale leaves, now these are the scale leaves that are thick and fleshy. They are not concentrically arranged but loosely arranged, and each has a covering in it. Such type are known as scaly bulbs, seen in case of garlic and lily. Next is the corm. Now the corm is solid, fleshy, more or less spherical underground stem that grows vertically. This too has nodes and internodes. Now the internodes are smaller, hence the nodes appear to be compact, having a large apical bud, and many adventitious buds are present. Adventitious roots arise from all parts of the corm. Now these axillary buds, they produce young corms. So with the major corm, there are many small daughter corms attached to it. Example is Amorphophallus. And last is tuber. Now in case of tuber, an underground branch of the stem swells up, storing food in it. It has on it eyes, depressions like structures called the eyes, in which lie the buds and the scale leaves. The eyes are spirally arranged. Also present are terminal and axillary buds, and they are capable of growing into new shoots. Example of tuber is potato. Subaerial modification. These are slender, prostrate, means that which grow flat on the surface of the soil, creeping stems. They are of 4 types: runner, stolon, offset, and sucker. Runner. These are creeping stem, developing as horizontal branches from the main stem. They grow for a certain distance, then develop adventitious roots and leaves at the node. They develop from the axillary bud of the main stem, and they spread in all directions. When they break up from the main plant, they are capable of growing into a new separate plant. Now, this is seen in case of grasses and strawberry. Next is stolon. Now these are lateral branches developing from the main stem. These lateral branches first grow obliquely upwards and then bend downwards. When they come in contact with the soil, they develop roots below and a tuft of leaf above. Now these branches are thicker than the branches seen in case of runner. Example of stolon is jasmine and mint. Next is the offset. Now this is just like a runner, but they are found in aquatic plants. Aquatic plants like pistia, this is pistia, and eichhornia. Now in these two, lateral branches develop that grow for a certain distance above the water level. Now these are the lateral branches growing above the water level. They develop roots and leaves at the nodes. In this case, the internodes are of shorter length. Next is sucker. Now in this case, a lateral branch develops from the underground part of the main stem. It grows under the soil obliquely and then comes out above the soil, producing leaves above. Like this is a banana tree where from the underground part develops a new banana plant. Example are banana, chrysanthemum, and pineapple. A lateral branch developing from the underground part of the main stem, growing obliquely upwards and bearing leaves as it comes out of the soil. Next, aerial modification of stem. First, phylloclade. Now, in this case, the main stem and its branches all get converted into a fleshy, green, expanded structure that takes the function of the leaf, as the leaves get modified into spines. The leaf get modified into spines to reduce the rate of transpiration. And these are usually found in xerophytic plants like cactus, that is opuntia. Next is cladode. Now cladode is just like phylloclade but is of shorter length. In this case, it is the branches that take over the function of the leaves. Leaves are not formed in these plants. The branches become green, flattened, leaf-like, taking over the process of photosynthesis just like the leaves, and the leaves are absent in these plants. Example is asparagus. Next, the stem tendrils. These are leafless, spirally coiled structures that coil around a support, helping the plant to climb. Leafless, spirally coiled structures developing from axillary buds. They help the plant to coil around a support, as seen in this plant. Examples are grapes, passiflora, that is passion flower, and cucurbits. And last are the thorns. Thorns are straight, pointed structures. Straight, hard, pointed structures which are woody in nature. They even bear leaves, flowers, and fruits. They are actually the modified axillary buds. They protect the plant from grazing animals and act as an organ of defense. Example, citrus fruits and duranta. Roots. Now, roots are the descending parts of the plant that grow inside the soil, or they are present underground. They develop from the radicle of the embryo. They do not possess nodes and internodes and even buds. The lateral roots develop endogenously, means from deep inside the root, that is, they develop from the pericycle. They possess root hairs that increase the surface area for absorption of water. Now, the root cap protects the root tip as it moves deep into the soil in between the soil particles. Roots can be divided into two types, the taproot system and the fibrous root system. Taproot system is mainly seen in dicots. In this, the primary root that develops from the radicle enters deep into the soil. It swells up, and from which develop lateral roots. So they are deep feeders, that is, they penetrate deep into the soil. Example of such root is mustard. Fibrous root system is seen in monocots. In this case, the primary root that develops from the radicle is short-lived, and it is replaced by a number of roots developing from the lower part of the stem. These are much branch roots that do not go deep into the soil. They are surface feeders. Example of which is wheat. Now, roots that develop from any part of the plant other than the radicle are referred as adventitious roots. Now, besides providing anchorage and absorption of water and minerals from the soil, roots also perform many other functions. First, modification of taproot system. Modification of taproot for food means, in this case, the primary root developing from the radicle swells up and stores food in it. Now, first is the fusiform root. Now, fusiform roots are spindle-shaped, means they are thick at the center and they taper, or they are thinner on both sides. Best example of fusiform root is radish, that is Raphanus sativus. Next, conical root. Now in the conical roots, they are thicker at the upper end with sudden tapering downwards. As the name shows, they take the shape of a cone. Example, carrot, that is Daucus carota. Next, napiform root. Now napiform root are very much swollen and they show sudden tapering downwards. Example, turnip, that is Brassica rapa. And next is tuberous root, means they show irregular swelling. They don't have any fixed shape. Example, mirabilis, that is your 4 o'clock plant. Now, besides modification for food, taproot also show other modifications like nodulated roots. Means in these roots, nodules are found present on the primary roots, secondary roots and its branches. In these nodules is present the symbiotic bacteria Rhizobium, which helps in nitrogen fixation. Nodulated roots are found in leguminous plants. Plants belonging to family Fabaceae, that is your pea plant. And another type of modification of taproot are the pneumatophores. Now these are the pneumatophores. Pneumatophores are respiratory roots seen in case of plants growing in marshy areas. These roots are negatively geotropic. That is, they grow away from the gravity, due to which they come out of the soil. They have pores in it, through which exchange of gases occur. So pneumatophores are seen in case of plant growing in marshy area or the mangrove plants. Example, Rhizophora. Next is modification of adventitious roots. Now first, modification of adventitious roots for storage of food. They too get modified to store food. The different types of adventitious root modification for food are: first, tuberous roots. Just like in taproot, in this case, these roots swell up. They do not have any fixed shape. The best example of which is sweet potato, that is Ipomia batatas. Next is fasciculated root, means many tuberous roots growing together in a group or in a bunch are referred as fasciculated roots, seen in case of asparagus and dahlia. Third, nodulose roots, means in this case the tip of the root gets swollen up or forms a nodule-like structure. Example, curcuma. Moniliform roots, means the roots get swell up at intervals. They are also referred as beaded roots. Example, vitis, that is grapes. And last is annulated roots, means the roots swell up in the form of rings. Example is ipecac, which is a medicinal plant. Next, modification of adventitious roots for support. First are the prop roots. Now, prop roots develop on the branches of trees and they grow vertically downwards, giving support to the huge branches of the trees. The best example of which is the banyan tree, Ficus bengalensis. Next, stilt root. Now, stilt root develop from the lower nodes of the stem, growing obliquely downwards, helping to the stem to stay erect. They are seen in maize, sugarcane. Next, the climbing roots. Climbing roots means these roots develop from the nodes by the help of which they help the plant to climb. Example, your piper beetle, that is beetle plant, pothos, that is money plant. And next, buttress roots. Now these are huge roots developing from the base of the stem, growing in all directions, providing support to the plants or the trees. They appear to be the part of the stem but are actually the roots. Example, people. Next, modification of adventitious roots to perform special functions. First, assimilatory roots. In this, the roots become green in color, carrying out the function of photosynthesis, or they carry out carbon dioxide assimilation. Example, trapa, that is water chestnut, and tinospora. Respiratory roots. Now, respiratory roots are seen in aquatic plants like Juicea. These are white, spongy roots that float above the level of water that help in exchange of gases. And last, the epiphytic roots. Now, epiphytic roots are seen in epiphytes like orchids. These are plants growing on branches of trees. They have special roots that hang in the air, by the help of which they absorb moisture from the atmosphere. Now, these roots have the velamen tissue which helps to absorb moisture from the atmosphere.